So we are joined on the line live by Preet Gill, who's a Labour MP for Birmingham Edgbaston. Hello to you, Preet.
Hi.
Hi. Now, you are one of those, there are over 100 of you now, who are saying that Keir Starmer should stay where he is as Prime Minister. Tell me why you say that. What's the case for Keir Starmer?
Look, Keir Starmer has a mandate from the British public in 2024. The next general election should be in 2029. All of us were elected to deliver for the British public on the change because of 14 years of austerity and decline. And that is exactly what we should be focused on. Now, I am pleased that Keir Starmer has confirmed to the Cabinet this morning that he plans to carry on. He understands that stability is what this country needs. We don't need the short-termism that we saw under the Conservatives and the chaos. That is not what the electorate was sending us a message on last week. As disappointing as the results were, and yes, we've got to be humble, and yes, we've got to respond to those. So I would have respectfully said to a lot of my colleagues that were talking about changing leader, is come forward with solutions and let's work on this together, because in the end, we will be judged on what our delivery is and the difference we are making to people's everyday lives. This is not the conduct that any of us expected to see. And let's not forget, they're not a majority in the parliamentary Labour group, because, of course, there's more than 400 of us. And as you say, there is now backbenchers coming out, moving against those that have been sort of coming out, calling for the Prime Minister to consider his position, because there is a real growing sentiment that this is not what the electorate expected us to be doing. We need to be outward facing, and we need to be responding to the issues that the people in our country care about.
Yeah, I mean, although does not conventional political wisdom tell you that when you have, you're right, you have 400 or so MPs, but when 90 MPs are saying publicly the Prime Minister has to go and the number is rising, that puts a dent in the Prime Minister's credibility and therefore in the credibility of the government, which just cannot be knocked out.
Well, look, I mean, there is a lot of people that have come into politics and won, a seat in 2024 because of Keir Starmer. They don't have political experience. I've been in opposition for 8 years, working very hard to get a Labour government so we could bring the change that people wanted us. We can deliver a Labour government on Labour policies. This should be enough for people to really take their role and responsibility as members of parliament elected with a democratic mandate and start delivering. What they shouldn't be doing is at the sign of, some difficulties is suddenly think, oh, the change of leader is actually what we should be doing. Anybody inheriting Keir Starmer's position, whether it's internal, any other person that wants to stand against him or any other party, what is their plan given the global situation, the impact it's having on cost of living and people's weekly shop? There are no easy answers to this. What is clear, though, from an economic perspective, and we want to see growth in our country, is stability is really key to that. And we should learn something from the Conservative period as to what that instability and change of leaders actually takes us to. So there is a lot, I would say to my colleagues, you need political courage, not political panic.
Well, I mean, maybe panic is the right response. Maybe it's the right response when you look at the opinion polls saying that you've got a 14% approval rate in the opinion polls, when you've got a leader who's standing, has broken records for the lack of support around the country. You'll have seen that in your Birmingham constituency, just as all your colleagues have.
Well, look, I mean, in Birmingham, of course, we've gone to a 6-party split from one dominant party being overall control. Actually, what the electorate sent a message was that nobody's got the mandate to have overall control in Birmingham. And actually, the Reform had the larger seats, and they have today announced that they're not able to form a group, and they're not going to be in power. And we don't know what this will now mean for the city. So I think, we've got to respond to what the electorate is telling us. I absolutely get that. It isn't just about Keir Starmer. Of course, in this local elections, people were voting for lots of different issues, but he has got, until 2029. I mean, he has got to be able to deliver the King's Speech tomorrow so that colleagues understand what we are trying to do in the next session. But equally, colleagues need to come forward with solutions. This is about all of us collectively, country first. That is what the Labour Party and our Prime Minister has always been saying. It is about the country first. And that's why we do not need a change of leader at this time. Because if we really mean country first, then we should actually be responding humbly to the grievances of the electorate and delivering on our manifesto commitments.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is obviously a hypothetical, but you have to think on what are the potential routes ahead of the Labour Party. And if this position, this absolute absence of support out in the country at large continues, do you then consider a change of leader? If you have to go through another hammering in another set of local elections, maybe a couple of by-elections on the way, which are just as bad, you say this isn't the time now to change the leader? Are you keeping an open mind on whether it might be later?
Look, at the end of the day, we've got a mandate to deliver. And I say to colleagues, I am really hopeful and passionate. There is so much that my communities are looking to us as a government to be delivering and making a difference in their lives. We've already been, the waiting lists have come down by 30,000. We've got 8 free breakfast clubs in my constituency, 2 nurseries in schools. This is really helping working families. We've got to talk more about what Pride in Place is seeking to do, giving communities power to make the change that they need. There is so much that government can deliver. This idea that we are so narrow that every time there's some difficulty that suddenly people say, oh, change the leader. That is not leadership. Leadership is staying the course, what Keir Starmer is doing. It's very easy probably for him to say, actually, I've had enough, or I'm going to walk away, or actually there's a challenge up and people feel disgruntled. A leader will have to address those issues internally. We as a party need to be talking internally about actually what the grievances are of respective MPs, not the public theatrics. The public will not forgive us for doing this.
All right. Now, while you're with us as a supporter, steadfast supporter of the Prime Minister, I just want to share this with you. It's a report. It's from the Sun newspaper. They say the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is on resignation watch tonight as the Prime Minister tries to salvage his position. Asked repeatedly by the Sun, I see whether she was considering resigning. A source said this was just pure speculation, did not deny. At first flush, I wonder what you make of that.
Oh, my goodness. There's so much speculation about so many of our cabinet members and many of our colleagues. It is simply speculation.
Though this is a senior minister who's pretty authoritatively and very widely reported to have privately urged the Prime Minister to consider setting out a timetable for departure.
Yeah, but I mean, look, we constantly keep hearing about sources that provide this information. It is speculation. I certainly have not heard that.
All right. Preet Gill, Labour MP for Birmingham, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.